本当？見えないでしょ？どこにいるのかな？見えないよ。
What's good, Internet? It's February 11th, 2022, and you're listening to Waypoint Radio, episode 460. I'm your host, Rob Zachney, and today I'm joined by Patrick Klepek.
Hello.
For the first time on a mainline podcast, I guess, Renata Price.
Hello, gamers.
And Ricardo Contreras.
Yo.
So, I guess we might as well start with maybe some of the weirder news today. I was getting messages that, hey, Force Unleashed is back, and that puzzled me for a moment.
The Wii
version of Force Unleashed.
The Wii version of Force Unleashed is what's coming
which
to
is
the
a
Nintendo
different
Switch.
which is the same in some ways base game, but it's different. It's yep.
So, someone explain to me, because I missed out on I don't set my watch to Nintendo Directs, but I gather this one had some things of interest. But it also seems like the reaction was really mixed. And so,
what timeline did you follow? That was like the opposite. No,
I think
like everyone fucking loved. Yeah. Welcome to the Direct that everyone loved.
Well, I mean, I do think there are certain type of Nintendo fans that saw nothing in there and were like,
well, yes, if you didn't,
if
you wanted to do Mario or
fans,
Zelda, then boo fucking who. Here's a bunch of other good games.
Zelda's coming out in the second half of the year, and they specified that this one was about things coming out summer and earlier. That's it. Yes.
And
first
also,
half.
let me just note, that group of Nintendo fans who are dissatisfied is anyone between the ages of 15 and 25. If you are
really calling herself out here.
If you are sub 30 years old, there was a dearth of video game, which is fine. Like, also, that's not even true. I'm excited about Front Mission, but that's because my brain is sick. Like, I understand that I'm the broken one of the 15 to 25-year-old demographic, so I loved this one, but like...
You could say that this is actually... They're trying to hit that in between, right? Because it's like people who...
It's like a Project Triangle strategy. Like
people who haven't played these games but are maybe aware of them and haven't actually, like missed the boat on the original release, obviously. But are interested in those genres anyways, right? Like that's what the demographic aim might be with with some of the remakes, but
yeah.
I guess that misses the really young, the ones. There's Fortnite's already on the Switch. What more do you want?
Oh my god!
Wow, Jesus!
Oh
Christ.
My god!
Well, don't pay Cado to be a consultant for your company. I really enjoyed the journey of so there were parallel directs happening. This happens pretty frequently, where there's like a Japanese direct and a direct for the rest of the world, and different announcements will happen, and sometimes announcements will only happen in one or the other. And Chris Kohler, formerly of Kotaku and Wired, and was it Other Ocean? I think he's at now. Anyway, like he noted, like, oh wow, while this is going on, they announced remakes of Front Mission 1 and 2, and I sent that, just immediately pasted that to Austin. He's got the frumpiest face in the world, which then prompted him to send a bunch of frumpy tweets about the fact that we weren't getting that. So I enjoyed later getting Front Mission 1 and 2 announced for the Switch. I don't have any, other than I know that those are old Square Tactics games that have mechs. I don't know jack about them. I guess I'm excited as in theory because of the premise, but are those actually good games? Like I don't know.
I've only really heard them, mentioned in a positive light in general, but at least the old ones, right? Is that the same series that became not Tactics, or am I mixing them up with a different?
No, they eventually did do a. I think you're right.
Right?
I think it's like Front Mission Evolved or something.
Wasn't there like 1 to 2 years ago a Front Mission game that everyone was like, this isn't Front Mission to me?
Right, Front Mission games. List of Front Mission media. Main series.
I think Austin attempted to play this game.
Right.
1, 2, 3. There is a spin-off in 2000. Okay, yeah, Front Mission Evolved, was the 2010 third-person shooter.
2010.
And then a 2019 stealth video game.
That's what I was thinking of. Oh.
Front Mission Left Alive, which is a third-person shooter.
Left Alive is what you were thinking of,
Yes,
Cado.
yes,
not
yes.
the other Front Mission.
This looks like Metal Gear. What is happening?
Oh, I think I edited a piece about this.
Might have.
What is time? Do you remember the year 2019? Because I don't.
Nothing happened after.
Sorry, I'm just gonna paste this in here. There's in the Wikipedia page for Front Mission Left Alive. It's just kind of dunking on the game, including being like, this is its dog shit physics engine, showing characters literally jumping off the ground when shot, which I think is very excellent and all games should do.
Greg Miller of IGN scored Front Mission Evolved a 6.0 out of 10, calling it, quote, uninspired, and they would only appeal to, quote, hardcore mech heads.
I don't think it even did that, though, is the thing.
I don't think so.
I don't think it even hit the hardcore mech heads.
Hardcore mech heads didn't want a third-person action game. Like, they want those things to move one tile at a time.
Look, if you do not have faith in like your mechs being tactical, like being inherently cool, then you don't deserve to make the nice robot game. Like, if you don't think that what the kids really want, kids of all ages really want, is a whole bunch of like really complicated rules, a lot of like obscure trade-offs, and a really like hard to parse, set of mechanics, then you shouldn't be in the mech game business. That's my take.
Listen, 17-year-olds love heat sinks. Like 17-year-olds just love thinking about cooling systems, and they love thinking about different engine types.
I wonder why that kept coming up on TikTok. I don't know. It was like the algorithm recommending those.
It's not just the algorithm. It's just that 17-year-olds are getting really into the the heat sinking and like different types of ammunition you can theoretically load a railgun with.
So upset about the second season of Euphoria. Like it's just just leaning really, really hard.
It's mostly drugs and not enough heat sinks. Like that's the problem.
Oh, I see. So it's more mecha focused in the first season.
It's a huge problem. They want more heat sinks. The first season was so interested in like the particular tuning of various like mechanical arms, but season 2 is all just teens doing drugs.
I had my own Austin arc with the Nintendo Direct because it's kind of wild to imagine that they have not had a Wii Sports game on the Switch, given the fact that like one of the big pitches on the Switch originally was, other than like the portability, was like look at our HD Rumble. You know, you're gonna move this Joy-Con. It's gonna feel like you can feel the marbles in your hand. No one's ever gonna use this tech ever again, so that's fun. And then also that it has like far more like extremely precise motion controls, like well beyond even like the like Wii Motion Plus add-on they had for the Wii. And so I see the Wii Sports like logo come up, and like I feel like emotionally bonded, spiritually bonded with Cado. It's like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Like Wii Sports, Wii Golf. And even before Cado and I were playing these golf games on stream, like, yes, the Wii Tennis, Wii Bowling, they were fun.
Yeah.
Like the one I played the most with my friend, like the one that like, as the novelty wore off on so many of the other sports games, the golf one is the one we came back to because it seemed to have the highest skill ceiling.
Yeah.
And it was just really well done. It was really fun. And so like me tweeting out, what the hell is the point of announcing a Wii Sports revival if you're not going to put the golf game in? Just my head in my hands. And then all of a minute and a half later, like, and by the way, this fall, golf DLC for Wii Sports. So that's
free update, right? Just like they're still working out the kinks on that one, it seems.
Well, I was worried that and like someone had posited on Twitter is like, oh, maybe they want people to be focused on, you know, the Mario Golf game they just announced, and so if they were to like put a golf thing in here, maybe that would overlap.
Wait,
too
announced
much.
or released? You mean the one
released?
Yeah.
Released. But I think there's still DLC coming out for it. But
right.
Fortunately, that was proven to not be the issue, and so if we could just put on Cado, if you want to put on the calendar, it's just like somewhere in the fall, just like put it on there now, just like reserve some sort of slot on the calendar for Wii Sports Golf.
Oh, you know what? We have a Trello. I'm going to put it in the Trello.
There it is. That's a
Shame.
shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what it's for.
It's always good to put down ideas that will clutter up the Trello because we can't do anything with them for 6 months. I think that's usually organizational tools are, on short, medium, and long-term thinking.
I just realized, what is this called? Because it can't be Wii Sports.
The game?
Is it just Switch Sports?
It's called Switch Sports, I believe.
Nintendo Switch Sports.
Yeah. Which is a terrible fucking name. Listen, the Nintendo Switch is like good branding, but it will never defeat the Wii. Like you can't do Switch
Wii
anything.
Sports. Yeah, no.
Wii Sports, we work.
It's like they can't get it right. Like they make the Wii U and they stick to the Wii name because they're like, well, we have so much like it's such a strong brand, but here's a not Wii and people hate it. And now at the moment they should be embracing that. They should be saying like, hey, remember Wii Sports? Remember how good life used to be? We're bringing it back. And like people will know like, hey, cool. I'll play Wii Sports on my Switch. There's nothing contradictory about that.
They also yassified the Mii's, which is pretty difficult.
I thought it was interesting that they ditched the Mii's.
Well, they're still in there. There's tall Mii's. They have tall Mii's, but they also have the weird, not me like anime faces. They have both. Is the thing, and they're mixed together, and it looks especially odd when they're standing next to each other.
Yeah. Speaking of sports games, for all the soccer nerds out there like myself, we are getting a new Mario Strikers, which I am personally excited for.
I appreciate they've continued the 90s aesthetic of the Mario Strikers series, have not given that up, are just continuing to lean, like some of like the official like quote key art, like for the game still has the like jagged edges. It's just something they easily could have left behind and have not, and I respect it, I admire it, and I'm glad that it is stuck around.
Sicko's voice, yes.
So you are actually a soccer person? Like
me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is my sport of choice. I played it in high school until I got physically too destroyed. Until my shit got too owned. And then I was like, I guess I got to stop playing this sport. Turns out you shouldn't play sports extensively if you have a really bad connective tissue disorder. Ooh. Whoopsie daisy.
Well, oftentimes the sports help you discover that. Sports helpfully like highlight an issue you might have lived comfortably not knowing you had a connective tissue disorder until you were like 30. But sports are like, oh, hold on, teenager.
It was really cool. One time I went to a doctor and I was like, I got this pain in my foot. And he's like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah. And then he brings in like his like medical assistants to be like, hey, your students figure this shit out. And they're like taking my foot, like trying to figure out what's making it hurt. And they're like twisting it in every fucking angle they can and being like, does this hurt? Does this hurt? And I'm like, no, it doesn't hurt. And the doctor walks in and they're like, we have no fucking clue. And then he walks up to my foot and he's like, your thumb's really flexible. And I said, what? And he went, your thumb's really flexible? And I was like, yeah, sure. And he's like, let me see. And so I put my thumb behind my hand, and he's like, "Oh,
that's going the
She
wrong."
got the hyperflexibility.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Oh," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take a picture of that for my class." And I went, "Excuse me?" And he went, "Uh-huh." And he's like, "Give me your foot," and I was like, "Okay." And he takes the base of my foot and he goes, and it like goes like an inch out, and it feels like someone had taken a sledgehammer like into the side of my foot. And I was like, ow, that hurts very badly. And he's like, congratulations, this is an injury that like only you can get. You have managed to bruise the inside of your cartilage and bone throughout your ankle, because every time you stop sprinting while playing soccer, your leg keeps going because nothing's holding it together and it just jams. And I was like, oh, cool, neat.
Oh,
I didn't enjoy
hyperflexibility. One of those things that sounds awesome until you realize, like, no.
That descriptor betrays. That term just betrays the description.
Renata Price with the power of hyperflexibility.
Yeah, it seems like a perk you would pick in Mario Strikers.
Yeah, listen, it's a good perk until you try to go climbing and your shoulders just like.
Ooh.
Does it have any advantages?
I mean, like, yeah, like most contortionists do have hypermobility, and like,
oh, that makes sense.
Sure.
The real downside of it is that you can't basically my body struggles to hold itself together, which actually makes me a lot stronger than I look because my muscles have to work extra hard when doing like even basic tasks. So I end up building strength very, very quickly because like my extra muscular strength comes from like my body trying to hold itself together all the time. So like I do build strength faster, but also I'm like much more injury prone with sports, and like there's certain like endurance based tasks that I really, really struggle with. And also my running form was terrible for years and years and years.
So MK actually has hyperflexibility and a lot of attendant issues, and yeah, it's just sort of an ongoing. It's like almost like a clown pulling a handkerchief out of the pocket in terms of like what new ailments can be attached to this.
Yep.
What new ways can I get fucked up?
Oh, and did I get a little bit older? Oh, that's just a bonus. Like we're just moving on the skill tree.
Yeah, basically I have to stay in shape for most of my life or my whole body's going to fall apart like one of those, like, you know, those like little wooden toys where you press the button and then it like falls down
like,
and then you like release the button and it comes back together. That'll be me if I don't
look, if I know Waypoint, there's nothing better for staying in fighting trim. Like being a producer at Waypoint, doing long streams and podcasts and playing games in your off hours.
To be like fully transparent, we did have a managing editor who, while we would do those things, like I've got 30 seconds, like I'll just do some push-ups. Like where's a closet? So like Danielle did that, like
Danielle
doing
it
this
out.
job does not stop you. She's going on runs and like in between, like you know, it is possible. You can incorporate those things if you really need to. Because I watched it happen.
I'm not like other girls, I'm worse. And that's the promise that I can make all of you going forward.
Beautiful.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to Renata.
So hold on. So Patrick, my last question about this Nintendo Direct though. So is basically the shit version of Force Unleashed going to be like what they're moving over to?
I believe the
Switch?
version you want to play is the backwards compatibility version of Force Unleashed on the Xbox. Like the Xbox backwards compatibility like stuff they've done is the best that game is ever going to look until they do like a proper remaster of it. People defend the Wii, like, because it was an era where like the Wii would get tweaked versions of games that were ports but had unique stuff, and people do swear by the Wii one being like a very quality version of that game with some interesting wrinkles. But I think the game you're really speaking to is probably just a game, if you wanted to revisit it, is probably best done on the Xbox.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4 had a good Wii port. That was great. I played that game on Wii. That was the only way I could get my hands on that.
Have y'all seen the new?
The aiming was so accurate, but it didn't fuck with the. I thought it would fuck with the scariness, but I feel like there's enough. They have like enough zombies in that game that it still fucks with you, even if you have like laser perfect aim.
Yeah, when I played the Quest version, similar sort of setup where it's like, hey, I can shoot these dudes in the head over and over again, and yet I still found like the opening hours of that to be pretty tense and spooky.
They just sorry, Rob.
No, go for it.
I was just gonna say that they just dropped details on the new RE4 remake, and like the extensive information about.
Speaking of Danielle Riendo's website Fanbyte, did drop Imran over there, their news editor. Had a report about some of the details on that game. Like the broad strokes is that they are not sticking strictly to, hey, let's do a high res remaster of that game. We're gonna, like, a bunch of the game is gonna take place at night, and they're gonna try and make it spookier.
This would be a little like, unlike Resident Evil 2, where people were broadly like, yeah, fix that thing up. Resident Evil 4 occupies a different place, right? This is a bit like. If like a lot of people would say, like, if you're hearing we're reimagining parts of RE4, that's not going to be exciting to a lot of folks.
I love RE4. The difference I would strike there is that RE2, like RE4 is available in incredible forms right now, in a lot of different ways. There was actually just a high definition fan pack released for the PC version that looks fucking amazing. Like, it looks so good.
You can buy it on Steam for $20 right now.
They're selling the texture pack?
No, just the game.
Oh, I was like, how did they do that?
No, yeah.
Whereas like RE2 is like a more inaccessible game. Like the playing that like now is more difficult. I don't know. I'm of the mind that if you're gonna do a remake, do whatever you want with it. Like just make the original game available. But like I'm so much more interested in them taking a swing at RE4 and trying to do something with what's already there, but their own spin on it. Plus, it is the RE2 folks, and they did such a phenomenal job of updating. Like that game met the like sort of like the vision you would have of what is it like to play this game for the first time now without being like so dedicated to being what that original game was that you lose something in sort of like the creative process. And so I don't know, that team has earned the right to do whatever they want with RE4, because if you don't like it, you can just download a very good version of RE4 right now, like a better modeled ogre boss. Like who cares? Like who cares?
It's fine.
At least I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm sure other people will care, but I don't.
Rob, are you not excited for more Three Houses content?
So, Cado, are you about to tell me that like they've come back? They're like, hey, we really been focusing on like how we can make an even better tactics game. One that's really gonna scratch all those itches that maybe Three Houses didn't quite succeed at. Is that what they're doing?
No,
we getting a new tactics game?
No, we're getting a Muso style game for the Three Houses universe. Dynasty Warriors style game. What are they called? Warriors? Like, is it just Fire Emblem Warriors? Yeah.
Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes.
3 Hopes. 3 Hopes is the name of the...
3 Hopes is because you're going to need 3 Hopes for the game to run at an acceptable frame rate. is like you need all the hopes you can get for that game to not run at 14 frames a second.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about that series. Like, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, you were there because of the characters, and like the tactics was okay, was workable, right? It was passable, right? Like
passable is definitely the word I would use.
Yeah, but
describe
the characters were great, and you wanted to see all. So like another chance to see them in a different context.
No. You know, then it should have been skippable. Okay, that's the thing. After a point, it's like I don't need to be.
Right.
Oh,
and
shit.
he's correct.
Well,
which is what they're doing. Like they're doing that in like the Chrono Cross remaster is. I feel like. Do we lose Renata? Oh,
just
the Chrono Cross remaster. I guess this is common in some of these JRPG updates where, hey, you just kind of just want to experience the story again. Like the Chrono Cross, you can just turn off the battles entirely. Maybe you'll still have to do the bosses. I'm not sure, but they have it. So it's like, hey, look, we know you're older. Who's here to play Chrono Cross? Like, not the 15 to 25-year-olds that Renata was describing. It is the 37-year-olds that will go, you know what? Chrono Cross never quite got the shake that it deserved. And like, I'm here to be part of the Chrono Cross-assance, but I also don't want to grind.
Chrono Cross-assance.
I'm also here for the Klonoa-assance, which is also happening from this direct. Klonoa 1 and 2.
Klonoa-assance doesn't even sound good. Like...
Klonoa-assance is, in high school.
Klonoa-assance sounds like the CDC and he's like quarantined the city and like.
They need people to get inside and play these 2 excellent overlooked Bandai Namco platformers from the 90s and early 2000s that not enough people actually played.
Wait, so Door to Phantomil is just the first Klonoa. That's not something
correct.
New. Okay.
No, and then they're doing a big update to the first game, and Klonoa 2 got a update on the Wii, but then they're doing sort of like another pass for the Switch version. They're
nice.
They're extremely charming, simplistic, but again, deeply charming platforming games that I have a big place in my heart from when I played them when I was younger.
Does anyone here know what Live Alive is? Live Alive? Live Alive? Live?
It is, if I'm remembering,
because I've heard it,
recall,
and people who knew what it was were very excited.
It's a vegan food chain up here.
It
is an experimental Square RPG that was made in like less than a year and never came out here. So and the reason people were so taken because it was like one of those games like Bahamut Lagoon, this game is never going to get localized. And so the only form it exists is complete JRPG sickos who are sharing 20% complete ROM hack localizations so they can progress through the game. And if you were going through a stack of, man, Square really seems like with this 2D, what are they calling it? 2D HD? Like their
HD 2D.
Yeah, their new aesthetic. What could they possibly go back and revisit? Oh, I could see them doing Chrono Trigger or like they're doing with the Final Fantasy, early mainline games. Oh, that makes so much sense. Live would not. No one. If you on the betting markets, that you would have made millions. No one would have had that on their bingo card as a game they were going to revisit. I've heard it's extremely charming and weird and interesting, and so I'm excited to tell myself I'm going to play it and then not do it. But I'm excited for that journey.
I want to play that one. I want to play that
between
one.
now
Me
and
too.
Yeah, Rob.
Are we committing to things we have no intention of doing?
God.
All right, let me in on that.
You know what? I actually might fuck around and find out because the premise sounds up my alley. I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's 8 different lives connected or something like this. It's like a Sense 8 situation.
It's a cloud atlas. The game is doing a cloud atlas where it's
right.
6 different timelines with 6 different characters all playing through their own stories, I think with their own unique mechanics, which is I don't know, I like cool experimental game design like that, so I cannot help but be ooh, that seems neat.
Yeah, there's a very cute robot in the game, which is what folks that who are familiar with the game kept tweeting about. I was like, oh, people are gonna love that robot. I love a robot.
Love a cute robot.
Mm-hmm.
Hey y'all, what year is it?
Well, I mean, as I said up front, it's 2022.
2022, yeah.
I don't think so.
That?
I think it's shit. When did this game come out?
All right, well, we're nailing it, Cado.
Damn it!
This is a really good bit.
Cado, all you passes to himself. Watches the ball
I think it's
go bouncing down the hall to the concession stand.
I think it's 2007 because I just heard a fucking the cake is a lie joke in a Nintendo advertisement.
All right, Cado's.
You got there.
There we go, Cado.
Fucker.
Let's go.
I think we're gonna have to mute Cado for the next 10 minutes. It's just just a punishment, unfortunately.
My man's got a hard reset real quick.
Yeah, Cado needs to reboot himself.
Unplug the Cado and plug him back in.
So I don't know. Yeah, that was a lot of the stuff that was at the. I don't know. Is there anything else anyone
mouthful
was
mode
psyched about?
Mouthful mode.
Mouthful mode.
Mouthful
Yeah,
mode. Mouthful mode.
A lot of good tweets came out of mouthful mode from the new Kirby game. That was delightful.
But also
Mouthful mode.
I'm glad they're making a new Kirby game, and they're doing weird.
And it's like an
shit
ambitious
with them.
one.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Do we know?
2D.
Does anyone know? Is Sakurai working on this? Is that why
No,
Kirby's back in a big way? Well, I'm just it's his baby, right? Didn't he create Kirby essentially, and that's why he's the most strongest character in Smash?
That would all add up, but no, I don't think Sakurai is still sleeping.
Okay, let him sleep. That's fine.
Smash.
It would make a lot of sense. I
Rest?
feel to see a new Kirby game with this much energy behind it, with him finally free of the reins of Smash.
Yeah, it's got a lot of cool ideas.
Yeah,
I'm glad that they are taking a bigger swing with Kirby than they do in the past. I mean, I'm all for the simple 2D games, and I'm sure this will still
charming.
Yeah, it's very charming. I'm sure
very charming.
I'm sure it'll still be a pretty simple 3D game, but they have the ideas they're playing around with are really cool.
Look, we're in a room full of people who liked Astro's Playroom a lot. Mm-hmm. So hook us
One
up.
of my games of the year. That game ruled.
Yeah, looks charming as hell.
So, I guess something else is starting to. It's not fully out right now, right? We're talking about Lost Ark. And Patrick's gateway drug to being mobified.
Oh man, watching me crush the Cado's dreams in real time, discovering the game and
so
Lost Ark had gamepad support.
So close, we were so close, everyone.
Beautiful.
We were right on the precipice of greatness.
Well, hang on. Did it have Game Pass support, Patrick? Because I saw how you were managing that inventory.
No, 100%. It applies the mouse to the gamepad so that you can do Well, you can't quite do both.
I'm saying that's terrible. That's not gamepad support. That is like hacked together like nightmare interface stuff. You were sliding stuff around the interface.
I agree, but it for a game where one of its core mechanics is that you can roll, and what you want to roll in a direction, like at least for me, like my experience, like I want to do that with an analog stick and a button. I don't want to hit the space bar to do the equivalent action. But Cado, why don't you set it up? Because I think you've played a little bit more of this than me and are clearly not playing on a gamepad.
Yeah. So Lost Ark is a new, or not new, actually, it's kind of old, which is a thing
New to
us, new to the West,
old to South Korea,
old to as of 2019, I believe, right? Like, so it's been a few years. MMO that is a Diablo-like, essentially. Like, it controls like Diablo. You right-click to move around. You left-click to attack. You can't right-click enemies to attack them, which feels like a weird choice. But apart from that, you've got your kind of low cooldown skills. You're supposed to kind of smash.
Wait, do you just move toward them and auto-attack?
No. You can swap these two buttons, but what I have is left-click attacks. Right click is move. If you right click on an enemy in Diablo, you'll move to them and attack. In this game, you'll just move to the place you right clicked. And so in some ways it's like, okay, it's a little harder to miss a right click that you meant to be an attack. But in other ways it's like I was panicking and moving towards these enemies and I thought I was going to attack them, but I didn't. Once I wrap my head around it though, it feels fine. But this MMO has some really fun like class distinctions, except that also for some reason some of them are gender locked, which is a bizarre thing in the year of our Lord 2022.
Like for example, I was immediately drawn to the gun classes, like the long range, or like I guess there's long, medium, and short range weapons. But like with the class, and like there's a man and a woman, and if you're the woman, then you can only pick the gunslinger class.
Yeah,
and if you're man, you can pick also I think the gunslinger class, but then two others, including assassin, and I forget what the third one was.
Artillerist. You can get a real big gun or also a bow and arrow.
Yeah, very odd, just call those two different classes, like take the gunslinger. I don't,
it's weird.
I don't get it. It's odd. And
then it worked backwards. It worked in the other direction for the martial artist. There was only one guy martial artist, and the woman martial artist had three options. One of them was like dancer. One of them was like a Goku. I've seen the Goku running around. It's actually really neat looking.
I love to see a Goku running around. Yeah. That's one of my favorite things to see.
If you're a mage, you're a woman. That's it. And if you're a warrior, you're a guy. That's it.
I mean,
it's weird.
As the woman on this podcast, that's true. Like I don't.
Isn't that the premise of Wheel of Time? That's like the very little I know about that show.
Hang on, let me fire up Amazon and find out. I'll have an answer to that in just 5 short hours.
God, aren't there like 20 books in that series? Well, anyway,
I think he died before, right?
He did. He died? Yeah, he died before.
They got finished though.
Yeah, someone finished them.
Yeah.
Anyways, this game, I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's a kind of MacGuffin-y, like the Lost Ark in the title is like your ultimate goal to find one of those that like has some sort of magical properties that will, save the world through creation or destroy it if it falls into the wrong hands. And they play a neat little trick near the beginning that I won't spoil for people, but like there's this immediate setup of stakes that is like, okay, this is fun. This is kind of like your whatever adventure. But what's really interesting is just like the gameplay feels really good. It feels really, active. Like we've basically reached the point where MMOs can have much more varied mechanics because networks have gotten faster, like latency and ping is less of an issue when you have a bunch of people on a map attacking the same mobs and things. Like, you're not seeing the same restrictions that old MMOs had to kind of deal with. And so I think that's one of the big reasons that this is hitting, is that it looks really good. It feels good to just do like your little rotation, then take down like huge mobs of enemies.
And the direct action is like part of what
really
I find unappealing about MMOs, other than like just not having time for them, is, and I'm wildly oversimplifying, I realize that, is like pressing the buttons, like watching it cool down, like the satisfaction I get, like the thing I like so much about the games that I like the most are the direct action. And so that's why this one immediately appealed to me. It was like, oh, it's still got the cooldowns, like, you know, I can still see where it's got, you know, a lot of, you know, generalized MMO ideas, but I can roll out of the way. I have a bunch of different weapons I can combine together in really unique ways, really fast, where even though the cooldowns are certainly impacting the play, I've always got something else I can be doing, and the roll is on a cooldown. So it's like that itself is something that you can't just spam in the way you would in a normal action game. I think it's on like a cooldown of 7 seconds or something like that. So you actually have to, which is a really long, relative to a traditional action game, 7 seconds is a fucking eternity. Like in the 2 hours that I played on our morning stream, I was constantly just hitting the A button again to roll, because I'm like, yeah, that's what I need to roll out of the way. It's like, oh, I've been surrounded by 40 enemies. I just need to drop a bomb and move on.
Yeah, no, it definitely, it feels much more like on the Diablo end of how quick the action is. A little faster, I would say, even of like Diablo 3 standards, as far as like how quickly you get back moves that you're doing. And I'm still pretty early on, but after you do the prologue, there's some pretty standard walk around and talk to a bunch of people and get like the lay of the land sort of situation, and most of that has been, you know, fine. But like the real thing is like these mechanics are really, really fun, and like just like feels like really polished and looks good. And I'm curious. I'm gonna see how far I can get and see if I can get into, like, they have like 8-person, I think raids is one of the earlier size of things. I wonder, scaling up with how many people are on screen and stuff, like how that plays out is what I'm kind of really interested in seeing. But for now, it's just like fun.
I bet it looks really cool.
Yeah,
just zipping around as the gunslinger looks badass. Like slapping 8 players doing that with a giant boss or hundreds of mobs sounds like visually arresting.
I love that they just made a Dante from Devil May Cry. That's basically what the gunslinger is. You can kick people in the air and then hold them in the air with your guns. It's very good.
Yeah, and this game was breaking like records on Steam.
It broke.
It's not.
It broke Steam, right?
It broke Steam. Yeah, where you couldn't unpack the files. And this is when this happened. I think it was roughly a week before. It's a free to play game,
right?
And so. And to even get into this phase of the game that was breaking records, you had to pay at least $15. So this game is going to like be astronomically big. Would be what a wild piece of speculation that would be. This game that broke records is going to get bigger when it's free. It's going to get bigger when it's free. But I think it's
I'm always saying this.
Yes. See, now hire me as your consultant. I can crunch the numbers. But if it was getting like 500 concurrents on a day where people had to pay, I can't imagine what it's going to be doing, on the 11th. I think this like the day this podcast comes
when
out,
you listener are hearing to this. That's what.
Yeah, go ahead and maybe as Cado edits it, he can mouth over the current concurrence over what I just said.
Yeah.
So real quickly though, just with the weirdness with gender in this game, like, it might be worth noticing that like gender politics in South Korea right now appear to be very weird across the board. Like this year, there's been a lot of like stories publicized about there is a Gamergate is not quite the right way to put it, but like there's a massive like anti-feminist backlash apparently that's become like a major problem in terms of like Korean public discourse around this stuff. And like genuinely it has entered like mainstream discourse that like misandry is a major problem that has to be solved. And like there's a lot of like routine harassment of like women online in like public spaces in that market. And so like it would not surprise me if in this like context it might also be hard to change course on that stuff a little bit. Maybe they're not related at all, right? Maybe the two don't have like anything to do with one another, and God knows anti-feminist backlashes happen everywhere. But did want to note the fact that like the context there, especially like right now, appears to be more fraught than it's been recently. And so that might also be part of the discussion around this game. When we're talking about like action RPGs, so Ren, you've been playing Vampire Survivors, which certainly looks like a just wade into the middle of stuff and get fucked up and try to survive kind of game.
Yes, but I would say in the opposite direction of something like Lost Ark, which is like active. There is no, you never hit the attack button in Vampire Survivors. So like Vampire Survivors, for folks who haven't seen it, which has also been doing like surprisingly well and has been kind of a breakout hit, is this like indie roguelike that looks, it's trying to be a Castlevania. It's like trying to like play with the aesthetics of Castlevania.
Have you ever seen a game want to cease and desist more than Vampire Survivors?
No, this game is desperate for a cease and desist, which, you know what? I respect the energy. Like we are talking like almost sprite rips. It's incredible. It is a top-down like roguelike where you don't actually hit the attack button. Your attacks just fire automatically from you. And so the game is basically like turns into a roguelike bullet hell where you are never shooting. You are just trying to like delicately dodge out of the way of enemies while at the same time like creating a build that is strong enough to kill 40,000 enemies in a single run.
Damn.
The most I've taken out is like 26,000, all just by like creating a very specialized build and like using the game's like pushing every single system to its absolute limit so you can get an edge up and actually survive for long enough to beat a level. And at which point you like unlock new stuff and there's a bunch of characters. It is an extremely, extremely satisfying video game that falls into like the deathball roguelike category. Kind of like, let me think, like Risk of Rain falls into that category for me, where it's Risk of Rain's less about strategy and more about like enemy management and also like, just like building a ridiculous character by picking up every item you can. This goes a little bit further into like, actually you have to think about a build, or in like minute 24 of your run, you are going to be overwhelmed by literally 10,000 enemies and you are going to die. And it is extremely satisfying.
When I was playing, I made it like 13 minutes or something like that, and the turn that game takes, and I'm sure this is only heightened as you get further in, of where you feel like you've built a build that is just, who could stop me? I am king here now. I am the Vampire Survivor.
And the answer is Dracula can stop credits. You very easily.
And then like the next phase will roll around and like whatever like new enemies it spawns in, and then just immediately die. Just like none of it matters. Like nothing you've built is going to accomplish anything you want anymore. It was just like immediately die. And that was such a it was really neat. It was cool to see the game push back, especially in its early state. Like this game launched to like no acclaim, no interest in the middle of December, and then a couple of streamers glommed onto it, and it is now like imploded. I want to make like one side note. I wrote a piece on how the game became popular a couple of weeks back, and like one clarification that the designer gave to me, Luca Galante, was that they write, "I'm not sure if it's worth clarifying that I did not actually make the assets myself. I made that presumption in the piece." And Luca wrote, "I've simply bought an asset pack from Oryx Design Lab a long time ago and never used it in a public project before this one." So
fucking incredible.
Years ago, a long time ago could mean a lot of things. Luca buys a Castlevania IP cash-in pack from an asset website and then uses it here. Now, granted, this game has gotten such success that I guess if it has to do an art rehaul, I think Luca will have the funds to do so. If Konami was smart, they would just partner with him and officially like start doing Castlevania shit in the game. But
no, that would give people just the faintest scent of hope that like Konami might take an interest in any of the games it still like holds the rights to, and that cannot be allowed to happen. Yeah, exactly.
Unacceptable. And fuck you for suggesting it.
They partner up. And then cancel it like 2 weeks later on the eve of the release date, and then try and C&D. That would probably be the move. In terms of these difficulty spikes, like, does it feel pretty consistent in terms of like how exact is the timing? How well do you know as you play through? Like, okay, I need to get ready for this phase, or is it a bit like how dynamic is it?
It's so like I think that it is like there's relatively consistent spikes at around 10 minutes, 15 minutes, right? You're going to have a pretty big hit, but also it feels, and this could be totally wrong, like there is something like Left 4 Dead director-ish going on behind the scenes where the game is being like, okay, cool. How ready are you for the next wave? Like, how many items do you have? My guess is that like there is a certain number of items that once you have them, or a certain level you can hit, that once you hit it, the game is like, all right, hit them with the next wave. If their build survives it, keep going. That is how it feels to me, is like there are very real moments the game's like, all right, let's test your build to get to the next level. And like there are like even like mini bosses associated with that. There aren't actually levels, but it's like the next difficulty spike. And I think that is probably tied to your character's level, which is why one of the things that I like to do in early game runs is as one character who has an extremely, extremely high attack rate before he levels up. Once he levels up, his attack rate drops to normal. But until then, he's basically like dropping like, a lightning bolt every like quarter of a second. And you can get a ton of early upgrades and basically get way ahead of the level curve by using this character with only this one weapon for an extended period of time. At which point you can kind of get ahead of one of the difficulty curves and, become extremely strong for when it actually hits. And that is a very like fun and satisfying feeling. Like, I've gotten to the point in Vampire Survivors where like it is rare that I have a run like under 20 minutes or like under 25 minutes is like rare. You also like unlock more passives as you go on, because of course you do. That's what kind of game this is. And there's also like a more traditional progression system where you are not just unlocking different items to find during runs, you are also like unlocking like different character perks. Like for example, like, oh, I get like 5% more experience points throughout a run or something like that. So there is like long-term progression, and like the end game is all about, getting gold to then upgrade those passives that apply to every character. And then also learning all of the different like weapons and weapon evolutions, because one of the cool things about this is that the passive items, when combined with a like regular weapon, evolve and get like new traits that are all extremely, extremely cool. So like, for example, the garlic, because this game has garlic in it because you're fighting vampires. When the garlic evolves, it becomes the Soul Eater and basically gives you healing when you're doing damage to enemies, and also does extra damage while you're healing. And it creates like this massive area around your character that basically will just eat any smaller mob up. And like, it is extremely, extremely satisfying.
Okay.
It feels good.
Sounds pretty cool.
I feel like if we were to do an in-person video stream thing, like what if we set up like multiple computers and then took in all the inputs and then just all did runs simultaneously?
Yeah, like a race.
Vampire Survivors, like
that would be extremely neat.
Like a marathon.
Patrick already sketching out untried, undesigned signal flows.
Oh no, we got the power now though.
Oh, we're good, baby.
I'm getting Phoenix. I have the strength.
We have multiple tens of $1,000s worth of equipment, and we got 2 producers, Rob. We could do anything.
We can do anything. Please don't try to do anything.
3 months later. So why'd both your producers quit? I think
I'm pushing too hard on Vampire Survivors.
Yeah.
I got to.
We got too ambitious.
Yeah, look, their wax wings melted. What do you want me to do? All right, so on that note, we're gonna take a quick break.
Listen, I pushed them off the tower, but like it's their fault. They flew too close to the sun. Shouldn't have jumped off the tower that I pushed them off of.
We'll be back after a quick break. I want to talk about Crusader Kings Royal Court, and we got some stuff in the mailbag to hit. And we're back. So I've had a busy week. I've been, well, let's see. So in one Crusader Kings III Royal Court game, I've been, I guess, trying to reunify, well, not reunify is really the wrong word. Trying to conquer the Iberian Peninsula and declare Spain a thing. And the only thing standing between me and that goal are a lot of different cultures and religions, and my own sprawling family tree full of just the most loathsome little Castilian shits you can imagine. And I also spent a good chunk of this week playing a game as Poland with Gita and Emily Lipstein, where they were sort of like walking me through what's new in this Crusader Kings 3 DLC, which is called Royal Court. And to catch you up a little bit, like a lot of Paradox games, you're kind of in that history sim, grand strategy space. Crusader Kings, we've discussed before on the show, is like very focused on like role playing as one noble in one place and time, and like seeing what you can do with that person's lifetime, and then passing that save basically along to their heir, and seeing how you can have your plan unfold across multiple generations and deal with the various curveballs that like life and fate toss your way. Royal Court introduces, well, that's what it says on the tin. So you might have been thinking, where's my royal court? I'm a king, damn it. Where? Well, now there's a royal court. And
to be fair, the court technically existed in abstract in that you had people in your court, right? Like there were people
but you couldn't go hang there.
Yeah, you couldn't. There was mostly just like they existed and you could assign certain ones to certain jobs, right?
Right. So, yeah, right. Like there would be like a menu of people who were in your court, and a lot of times you would just be like, I don't even know who these people are. Right. There were people like, what are you doing here? You'd see a little like
where did you come
where
from?
a family crest should where a family crest should be. There'd be like a couple twigs and a white piece of like cloth, and it was like they're lowborn. And you'd be like, well, you must be pretty special to be pretty special to be here. And you click and they're not special, they're just some dude, and you're kind of baffled as to what they're doing there. But yeah, what you didn't have a sense was like court life. They would have that created through some story events. You could get little like implied bits of it through like, I will hold a royal feast. But what Royal Court specifically does is it creates a place in the game, the Royal Court, which is your throne room. And you go in there and you look at your various awesome heirlooms. And the idea here, because all Paradox games sort of like run on these ideas of prestige, like prestige is a really partly it's a way to keep score, but also it's really like powerful currency in the game. Your court has splendor, and the more splendid your court, the higher your prestige, the more important you seem. Millionaire mindset. You do things like you can spend a little more money every month to improve the quality of food at your royal court. Or you can go the vice media direction and spend a little less money and take away food and hope nobody notices. But they do notice, and your court splendor falls. And so like there are various things you can do on that front. But the other thing you can do is you hold court, and at that point you deal with like various petitions. People, every 5 years, people are like, either there'll be a story event where like two like courtiers are feuding, or like peasants might come with a like petition begging you to get rid of like one of your terrible nobles, or somebody might catch you out in something awkward, like the fact that your king is a big dumbass, and you have a choice of like, do you cop to the fact you're a big dumbass, or do you like yell and shout and like try to scare everyone away from like pointing out you're a big dumbass? Both have their ups and downs.
Damn, how'd they find out that I was a big dumbass? Fuck, I've been trying so hard.
Well, it turns out, so if, for instance, you haven't noticed that your court language is not a language you speak, that can be, you know, that can be awkward where people are like, hey, what's up? And you're like, huh? What? Who? What's this document say? I'm sorry, I can't read this. And then people will be like, do you need help? And if you accept help, you like, maybe it will help, but also everyone will know that like now you need that help. So it's a lot like Gifted program, really, where it's like a big part of it is like, no, I'm just going to sit up here and seem smart. No, I know what's going on. Don't worry about it. I'll do that petition later. Just pass it along to your chancellor. I should have had a chancellor when I was like 12.
You should have.
I should have.
You should have. Rob, actually, let's be. I think you would have been a good chancellor at age 12.
Yeah, that's very true.
Am I wrong?
No, it's just like, what is a chancellor if not someone who takes people's lunch money?
Oh, we're doing that again. Sorry.
Everyone's being mean to Rob for that time that he stole from other children.
No, I accepted feudal dues. Okay? Like, because I was the largest child, it was my due to protect the meek.
And you know what, Rob? That was really kind of you.
Yeah, I thought so.
Rob, you would be a great landlord.
I'm always saying this.
Patrick.
God damn.
I would be, you know who else was a great landlord? Mr. Knightley. And that's who I'd be. I'd be like, hey, you want my opinion on who you should marry? And they'd be like, what? And I'd be like, here it is. Let me tell you about how to be a better farmer. And they'll be like, but you don't farm. And I'll be like, no, but you're my tenant. So I think I know more about this than you do, my friend. Yeah, I think I nailed that too.
Oh,
God.
Amazing.
So the thing is, like Royal Court, I think the big thing it does is Paradox has been dealing for years with the fact that there's an insatiable appetite for narrative events in all their games. Like I think they really ran into this with Stellaris. I heard one of their designers talking about like they continually underestimated how like, you know, it's the classic content drop problem, right? You always think like nobody's going to burn through all this content, you know, in 2 weeks. That couldn't possibly happen. And then you inject the content into a game and immediately 2 weeks later, people being like, I've seen everything. Like, I need more. I feel like that was
Are we talking about Cado here? Or
Wow.
No, we're talking about content, not Cado.
Oh, sorry. I get them confused.
Yeah. I do too sometimes.
I mean, I think Cado is very representative of ungrateful gamers. Who just stuff their little cheeks full of content and quests, and then not even chewing. More, just like more.
I need more.
Yeah.
Content.
So, Royal Court is very much like all right, here's tons of narrative events. Here's tons of shit you can fuck with. Like, sure, go into your throne room. Yeah, I love fucking with shit too. What if you wanted to fuck with the clavicle of Saint Joseph? Be like,
the clavicle of Saint Joseph?
You can fuck with it. You can be like, I'm gonna put that out. I'm gonna put that out. Hey, everyone, check out my clavicle. I got it from the Pope. That bone, that gnarly bone over here means I get 1 extra piety a month. And everyone's like, damn, that's the clavicle of Saint Joseph. Like, do you have a certificate of authenticity for that? And they'll be like, no. But like, you gonna question that? No, you're not. So, and then you do things like give these heirlooms to other people. Some of the heirlooms will provide bonuses, like maybe somebody writes a really good book on strategy and tactics, and now everyone in your line is like, well, because we have like the How to Be Good at War book, we are going to be good at war. And so that passes on through generations. But yeah, so it mostly is just like trying to give you more story events, more of a way to like narrativize your adventures in Crusader Kings, and maybe lean into the fact that like there's always been an argument like, is Crusader Kings is like on this fence between like RPG and strategy game, and with Royal Court they're definitely like dumping skill points into RPG, but in really fun ways.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can your heirlooms be stolen?
I think they have to be gifted. I haven't seen a heist yet, but
because
but I think I think it can get really thorny around inheritance too.
Because I was gonna say that, like, I mean, one of the coolest things in Crusader Kings is like you can switch to a different character at any point in time. You can just take control of a different guy whenever. Any character in that video game, you just be like yoink. And doing a playthrough where you tie your player character to an heirloom as opposed to your actual PC.
So you play Crusader Kings as Excalibur, basically?
Yeah, as like a cursed sword. Yes, it literally this, where you're like, every time this sword gets stolen, we're taking on this new character and like following their ambition.
You just create the save, exit to the main menu, load the save, play as the person who stole the sword.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly this. That sounds extremely good.
That would be a fun way to play it. Like there's lots of like cool shit in this. Like I've been having a lot of fun with it. It does a good job of also, because there's more like narrative connective tissue, it's maybe a little bit easier to see the various ways the story fits together. And so it becomes like easier to sense like, okay, so the fact that I am now being like a relentless schemer is now being reflected back to me in these narrative events, but that's still happening alongside the backdrop of like high politics and strategy and like religious turmoil in Europe. And so there's more of a sense like at any moment, the game is doing more of the lifting of keeping you apprised of what the broader story is while you are the player character reacting to it, right? So in some ways you'd almost look at like Royal Court as being like, the game master got an upgrade, right? Where there's just a better sense of like creating the fabric of the world you're in, and then you as the player have more ways to like express who you think your character is.
I have an additional question. Is Royal Court mostly focused on the like European parts of this? Because like I think they like one of the things about Crusader Kings 3 is that like, you know, you can go to other parts of the world, which is like exciting and cool, but like. Does Royal Court feel 100% built for Europe? No? No,
it is built for kings, right? So that Royal Court is for kings. But what I mean is it doesn't like, so you have to, I think what you cannot be, like, I don't think the Royal Court stuff even kicks on in like the Dark Ages start timelines because like none of the like infrastructure development and ideological development has taken place to like make the Royal Court make sense.
Right.
But like as time rolls on, more cultures like hit a pivot point where they can get the Royal Court. They have to like reform their religion, and you can reform any religion. And so like once that is in place, the Royal Court like kind of kicks on, I guess. And that can happen anywhere. And so like as long as you are a king or empire level noble, you got yourself a Royal Court. And that can happen anywhere in the world. And I think they're also trying to, so I have not played with this part at all. They're also trying to do a lot more with, I think like there's more ways to fuck around with religion and culture, to like sort of custom spec, the religion and culture of your people. But maybe also get around some of the more deterministic aspects of Crusader Kings where like, sorry, man, this is once these two faiths enter the octagon, only one may leave. There's, if you're willing to dump in the resources, there's apparently more ways around that as well. So like theoretically more options open up in the game, but I've not messed around with that as much because like I've been mostly sticking around to, playing cultures at sort of a mid-game point where things are stable enough where you really don't kind of want to fuck with that with those big questions because you're so busy just trying to keep a lid on things. Like me. Like, how do I make Spaniards out of all these people?
I'm always asking this. People have been asking me to stop saying it, actually.
It's, that game has been a lot of fun. I ended up in a race to, this is just, classic Crusader King stuff. I did some math and I realized that like, if I killed my brother, cause he was a king too. We were both kings. And if I killed him, I would inherit his kingdom. And so it was like a race between me creating a murder plot and him having more kids, but I kept losing the race. And so I would like, no sooner would like the murder plot be about to go off than it's like, oh fuck, he has an heir. And so it would be like, do I like stop the murder plot and kill the heir, or do I just kill my brother? I went ahead and killed my brother. But not before he had a second kid. So I had to kill 2 little toddlers before I could be a king.
Had to. Required.
I mean, if I didn't do that, there would be discord in the realm.
And you hate having discord in the realm. That's
you do.
point.
Like, what's the greater crime? Letting 2 toddlers grow to see adulthood, or providing peace and stability for people across the peninsula for a good 10 or 15 years before I led them on the religious wars.
Those are the 2 options in my house as well.
Wow. Oh no.
Fortunately for the oldest, she's not a toddler anymore. So the younger one,
Still
open question.
And the other thing is the game does still have such like good rhythms where there's the whole like cycle of life where your king is like gets like your king sort of like your noble will reach like the zenith of their powers in their like 40s or 50s because they've like been around long enough, they've skilled up a bunch. But then like they're always in more danger of like getting old and dying or just falling the fuck apart or getting weird. And so
is weird a trait?
Oh, there's like a million different flavors of weird. Yeah. No, like there's like a million weird traits you can get. And they all create their own little problems. And so you also like have those good, like fun push your luck mechanics of, do I keep trying to put this entire kingdom on the back of this aging noble? Or do I just start preparing for the fact that like this person's going to die and I need to save all that money for the kid so that when the kid inherits, we have enough money to like spend our way out of problems. But it turns out it's as hard for me to budget in Crusader Kings as it is for me to do it in real life. I'm always like, I think I can cram one more emirate down my throat before this guy kicks the bucket. And then, as long as no nobles get pissed off at me, as long as I can handle the religious and ethnic strife between my Muslim and Christian citizens, and as long as nothing happens that requires like an outlay of cash, like medical treatment, I'll be fine. Mm-hmm. And so, like, just continue.
That's not a long list of caveats whatsoever. You're good.
Yeah,
I feel like everything must have turned out fine.
Acceptable.
Yep, I'm just constantly being like, all right, and now I just need to not do anything for 10 years. Just let that clock run, Rob. Just let that clock run. And then I'm like, oh, I could declare war again. I mean, he's 70 years old, but look how spry he seems. I think he's got another war in him. Don't listen to that. Shouldn't do it. So that's Royal Court. That's what I've been up to. It's been a lot of fun, and like in a weird way, I think it also makes Crusader Kings maybe more accessible, because again, just more of that like narrative connective tissue. If you have a story to tell, it's easier to frame your actions in the context of that story rather than the way it could be at launch, which was sometimes it was better at this than any CK had been, but it could still feel like you were looking through a phone book of like European nobles and like doing math problems off the back of it. And now you have a bit more of a cast of characters. And
this was the problem that I had when I first played CK3 is that I loved it a lot and I really liked that doing that character work, but like at the same time it really did feel like, all right, cool, I don't know who do I put the camera on, because like, or who do I want to fuck with? Like, who is interesting to have like a fake rivalry with, or like something like that, or like to narrativize having a rivalry with, when like you don't have that cast of characters. And hearing that they have bolstered that is very, very exciting to me personally. I'm gonna have to jump back into this.
Yeah, I think it's like if you've been looking for a reason to completely get hooked on Crusader Kings again, like I think Royal Court gives you some really good reasons, and there's nothing in it that I'm like. Sometimes the Paradox expansions you can look at it and be like, I wish you hadn't made this at all, because like now it's in the game and it like kind of fucks some stuff up. Mm-hmm. There's nothing here that I look at and I see and I say like, okay, well, with these good, like, here's a lot of downsides. Like, maybe in some of the, like, culture and religion stuff, there will be issues that crop up if you push that stuff too far. But right now, mostly, it makes just the minute-to-minute of playing a little more fun. So, definitely worth checking out. Do we want to dig into the question bucket?
I'd love to.
We do. I've been told we can talk about fraud.
Were you asking if we could talk about fraud?
Yes.
Were you a little worried?
No, not at all. I didn't. Yeah, I am not worried. I'm good.
Okay, so great. If we're good, to go.
The Costco police already left me off the hook. Someone who works in Costco fraud was like, "You're good, Patrick. Okay. Don't sweat it."
Well, if we got the green light to talk about it, then I'm just putting the call out there. If anyone knows good like solutions for fraud in Concur, please let me know.
I wanted stories about fraud, not ways to fraud.
I shouldn't. Hey, sorry. Do not send tips for committing fraud using Concur to gaming@vice.com. Don't.
We're using Concur for this? No. Please send.
Don't you have a personal email?
Yeah.
Robert.zachney@vice.com. Maybe, you know what? Maybe not even that. You know what? You shouldn't send tips about how to commit fraud using Concur, and you shouldn't send them to zachneyr@gmail.com.
Wow.
Don't need a
Jason, don't listen to this. I mean, Ren, you just had lunch with him. He seemed pretty cool, right?
He's pretty cool. He's teaching me how to use Concur later today.
And he's really been... really?
Hey, but also, Jason is not the one who... Well, Emmanuel approves the expenses, right?
And Emmanuel's a comrade.
Yeah. Emmanuel is a comrade. Jason's also a comrade.
It's true.
It's not fraud if we're just trying to redistribute the wealth to ourselves.
Gonna get that gonna get that complimentary beer money out of this company one way or another. You took away my smart coin, you sons of bitches.
And you know what?
What do you think would happen if I usually go to, get like beer and wine for the weekend on like Friday evenings after work. Like, what if I just submitted that? It was just like, this is a business expense. Didn't tell Emmanuel, just push that through. Like,
they can't stop you.
Hang on. So
they can. I think they can hit decline, but I want someone to hit it. I want someone to load the JPEG and go, is this just a receipt with no explanation for...
You know what? Maybe I can start sending like grocery, like, oh, sorry, this is my Waypoint Radio coffee bill, like, because my home studio, like, part of the cost of you don't want me just like getting completely like wiped out during the pod, do you? So yeah, I think
this is my Nog budget for After Darks.
Yeah,
that shit was so expensive. I cannot begin to tell you how expensive that Nog was.
Wait, was it expensive as a single batch or expensive per pound? Because it feels like you got a lot out of that.
You got a lot of Nog.
You know, that's true. Like
of Nog.
Cream and milk are pretty cheap compared to like aged liquor. So that's true. Like took a lot of aged liquor and then made it into a ton volume wise of like drink. So you're right. Maybe I should just be like Nog all the time.
God.
All nogged up.
Constant Nog.
Hey, honey, this is called budgeting.
Graham.
All right.
What was the question?
Yeah, so Patrick, tell us your fraud tips, stories.
This one, well, you said you had other emails. I'll read this one, and if there are other ones that came in that you think are good. But this one came in from Ari. Hey, gang. Now, look, I'm not typically one to advocate for fraud. Love. You know what? That's that's a great different email to
Couldn't
start.
be me. Could not
But
be
when
me.
you work in retail for long enough, you find out that it is extremely easy. Patrick pretty much had it when he brought up the Walmart video game return policy. It turns out most stores will accept returns for most items, no questions asked, as long as you don't mind store credit. The chain I worked at until recently qualified that in that you would only get the value of the item at the lowest price it had ever been discounted to. Also, rather than flag a membership number like with Costco, they check your ID and run it against a fraud prevention database so you can't pull it over and over again. That's what Walmart eventually did do. It was like they would hand you, when you would try and take the cheap game to get the expensive cost trade-in, they would check your ID and they'd be like, you can only do this 3 times a year. So like, but that was the bit. Like you can do a little fraud, but not a lot of fraud. Yeah. Anyway, Ari continues. That said, it's useful knowledge to have on hand. I received a new coffee grinder for my mother-in-law last Christmas. It was a perfectly nice little KitchenAid electric grinder that was a decided downgrade from the one I was already using. There was naturally no gift receipt, being deeply conflict averse. I did a little looking online and found out that Target sold the exact same model, as well as one that would in fact be a nice little upgrade to my current setup. All I had to do was walk up to the return counter with the grinder still in the box, ask, hey, sorry, I don't have the receipt for this. Could I do a return for store credit? And 30 seconds later, I had a nice little Target gift card in my hand, which I promptly used to pad out my purchase of a new grinder that I now enjoy almost every day. I do want to reiterate, non-receipted returns do get side-eyed and tracked by most stores. And if you do it too much, they will start rejecting returns with the unspoken accusation that you're returning stolen product. Still, next time you find yourself with a gift you're never going to use, it doesn't hurt to check if
That's
Target
really good advice.
Keeps it in stock.
That's really good advice.
Yes, sicko's voice. Yes, yes.
Some lawyer is just sweating. They don't know why. Like they're not.
A vice employee somewhere is just like, oh my god.
Mm-hmm. We're telling. So wait, you gave advice on how to defraud Target specifically on your podcast?
Listen, we don't have any deals with Target. Maybe.
But I don't know. Vice is a big company.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's fucking true.
What's going on in some places?
So we have one from
Target.
Alexa.
That's your fault.
Alexa writes, "Hey y'all, if you were a video game skeleton, what type of video game skeleton would you be? Sword and shield, femur thrower, environmental storytelling."
That's me. Environmental still out. I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
I'm just a pile of bones. Conveniently set up in a seated position, holding like a controller or something, you know? Damn.
You were playing Pokemon when you expired.
A gamer, yeah. Here lies a gamer.
Here lies trying to finish the Pokedex. You know, he tried. He died.
I would say From Software skeleton who is inexplicably a vendor despite looking absolutely no different from every other skeleton in the video game.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Related, I would be a Kingsfield 4, the ancient city skeleton, one in which if you just walked a little bit away from me, I'm just going to walk in a circle over and over again. Just upset at myself that I'm here. You know, I am a skeleton. I'm supposed to be spooky, but I apologize. My AI pattern only allows me to to be interested in your acquaintance for about 5 seconds. Otherwise, I need to walk in the circle. So I would just be in the circle, hoping the player would just spare me from the swing of their sword.
Will they? Will the player spare you?
Well, if they're me, then no. In fact, they will take the
absolutely not
opportunity for that. The fact that you're going in a circle to just swing that sword a little bit harder. Not worry about the fact that you can't fucking tell the distance of the sword, because it won't matter, because I can get right up behind you and just go whack.
So you have to imagine this guy is a skeleton.
This guy.
So it's the Maxwell blown away guy. So just imagine like a skeleton on like sitting regally on a chair, happily dead, head thrown back in exultation as the power of a vintage audio system washes over him. That's how he died.
Are you still wearing?
I was gonna say, and you want?
Are you wearing like a tie or something still?
To
really like get that effect.
Yeah, I think so.
He put on his
vest.
Put on his getting married suit and said, "Fuck it, just keep turning up the dial till
got sound.
I can't hear no more."
That's how I wish to be discovered. Many centuries hence. Misty writes, "Hey, Waypoint Crew. Is it weird to sit in the shower? For context, I have a really average shower-bathtub combo and will often sit down like I'm taking a bath for my showers. I like to sit and take my time getting clean, and I find it's easier to shave my legs and wash my hair while seated. My partner gives me a hard time about it. She doesn't really care, but insists that it's a weird thing to do. What are your thoughts? Love the pod and thankful for all the engaging content that has made my job less miserable. You're all kings, queens, non-binary beings, and I appreciate you."
Also skeletons.
Mostly skeletons, yeah.
So first, I would just say
they have a seat, right?
No, it sounds like they're just sitting down in the bathtub.
Just sit in the bathtub. Just sitting on the ground of the bathtub.
This is the thing. First of all, it's not weird to sit in the shower because at some point everyone's gonna have to sit in the shower because we get infirm. Like it's like at some point you may need to like bring a seat with you into the shower. May happen. I think the problem with most bathtubs, they don't accommodate that. But I totally understand the impulse. This is why I was on like team bench seat in the shower stall. Love that shit. Get those.
Those are neat.
Yeah.
They have those at my university. No. They have those at my university. I am only anti sitting down in the shower because every time I've ever sat down in a shower, it was a sign that something had gone terribly wrong.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes.
That is a sign that I am severely depressed.
Have you tried it outside of those contexts, though? Just to see? Just to feel?
Just to pop a squat?
Yeah, just sit on the ground. It's fun. Sometimes it's fun to sit.
I love me sitting on the ground. I love this. This is so fun for me.
This was the cure for my depression. I should have been doing this when I wasn't depressed.
I think this is fine.
Could a depressed person do this as I sit waiting for the hot water to run out in my shower?
Fucking in my most Shinji pilled mode. Turning up the water too hot.
Rob just sitting down in his shower, just luxuriating, thinking about how much this is costing him, just like showering himself in dollar bills as the shower comes over him on the floor.
Now, laying down in the shower, that's the good shit. Just like it's hitting you all over at once.
God.
Yeah, no, I'm with Cado. With Cado.
Yeah.
Because say you're really drunk, except the drunk is fading into a hangover.
Sure.
And you're like, I need the soothing rainfall of
it's like,
lukewarm water falling on my face for hours while I sleep.
Don't fall asleep.
No, you can fall asleep.
All right, hey, what's up? Welcome to Ren's terrible corner. I have narcolepsy. I have fallen asleep in the shower, and let me tell you, that is an unpleasant experience.
Oh no!
I was in my college dorm. And fell asleep in a public shower and had the really cool experience of like starting to fall, like you do. And then my brain was like, "You're falling. You should wake up." And I was like, "You're right. I should wake up." And so I awoke as I'm mid-fall.
Mm-hmm.
And folks, what do you do when you want to not fall?
Grab something.
Or you try and like move your legs into a more stable position.
Yeah.
Sure.
Moving your legs into a more stable position is really hard when you're in a shower and the floor is soaking wet and you're already mid-fall. So instead of like recalibrating myself and like catching myself, I just added momentum to the fall and went... went boom, directly onto my face, like directly onto my shoulder. And then I just laid there because another note is I take some sleep meds. And so I was extremely nauseous from the medication, just letting the water hit me until I felt like coherent enough to crawl through my dorm naked into my dorm room.
Hang on. So what I'm hearing is that if you'd just been lying down at the start of that shower, you would have been safe. And also, once you fell, that soothing rainfall, the healing rain of the shower, helped you weather the storm of that bout of nausea until you were strong enough and brave enough to crawl naked, heedless of the people around you, back to your dorm. That shower gave you confidence.
You know what, Rob? And that's a really good point that I hadn't considered previously. I appreciate that.
Well, it sounds like we all endorse sitting down in that shower, have a little nap.
Yes, absolutely.
No.
Waypoints Radio says you can sit in the shower. It's okay.
At least
try laying down.
The person who wrote this in qualified it with like utility. It's like totally makes sense. Like shaving their leg, like that all adds up. Where Cado Rob seemed to be coming from is like, what if you treated your shower like a tub and you were in there for 45 minutes?
A tub that drains.
It's already a tub. It's a combination shower tub. I don't think it works as well in like a shower that has no slope to it. That's
I'm not advocating that at all.
It's difficult, but
you can't just lie down in a shower stall.
There's no space. There's enough space usually.
Well, you can curl into a little ball, but
I have done that.
I mean, who hasn't? But I don't.
Again, this is why I say that like laying or sitting in the shower is a sign that something has gone terribly wrong.
But I'm saying if you have the combination,
you're curled in the ball on the floor of a shower stall.
No curling in this situation. You're just sitting, like the legs are out because it's a tub with a shower head in it. You just lay down, and it's nice. It's like being in the rain.
Yep. No, I think
100%.
Totally agreed. Also, like, so the
Rob is just laundering his habits through Cado, and it's like, it's great. Thank God, finally on this podcast, someone agrees with me.
So the one thing. The note of caution I would sound though is that sometimes, like, if the shower is like, if you do the combo bath shower thing, really, I'm gonna stop the drain and just sit here with like the rain coming down on me. That shower get a little grody. Like the soap not draining out could be a bit of a problem. So be careful with that because let me tell you, like, I am somebody who routinely almost wipes out in the shower because I have like a shower that's perfectly contoured and has just the right texture. That if anyone has bathed in it in the last 2 days, like taken a bath, or if like the drain just hasn't been cleared in a little bit, it will form a very thin, totally invisible, and totally like undetectable layer of like slippery scum. That like the minute like the first drop of water touches, you're just like your foot's wiping out from under you. And so I'm I wish, like, to be fair, I should probably be crawling into that shower.
Also get a mat
or clean.
Would a mat help?
Oh, just how often can one be expected to clean up?
Wait, what about the mat?
Gotta clean that too.
What? Not as often.
Yeah.
You won't eat shit as frequently.
I've thought about it, but I need to find a nice looking
my name's
mat.
Rob. I'm too good for a mat.
No, I just need a nice.
I need to find like Rob gripped with like choice paralysis when he could just pay $10 for a
wire
fucking
cutter.
mat. Like,
wire cutter, most handsome bath mat.
Wait, are we going back there again?
Wire cutter, yeah, because their union was recognized. They won.
Okay, good.
And
good.
So it's ethical recommendation seeking. Wire cutter, most handsome and sophisticated anti-slip shower mat.
Yeah, mat. Yeah. Probably what you're looking for.
There we go. Okay, that didn't. They're just saying best shower mat. Well,
that's not what we need.
Those don't look great. I mean, those don't look great. I also
Where are the
need
gold
an
embellishments?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, do you have any that look like leather? That's what I'm really in the market for.
I love some wet leather on my feet. Jesus.
Yeah.
This one got a Bluetooth chip in it. Can I connect my Pixel 3 to this, Matt? Like, I'd like to have some little subwoofer beneath my feet when I'm taking a shower.
Well, I can see I have no support in this room.
You know what? No. I'm gonna stand by Rob here. How can Rob truly feel clean if he's not cleaning his heart with opulence?
Nailed it.
Yeah.
More and more people are asking.
Oh.
Well, that's a wrap on today's episode of Waypoint Radio. If you want more from Waypoint, you can follow us on Twitter at Waypoint, on Facebook and YouTube at Waypoint Vice. You can follow me on Twitter at Rob Zachney. Patrick, where can people follow you?
At Patrick Klepek.
Renata.
You can follow me on Twitter at Ren or Raven.
Cado.
At A_Cado_appears.
You can also check out what we published on waypoint.vice.com. This week, Patrick published an interview with Shinji Mikami. That was still this week, right, Patrick?
It was late Friday.
Yeah, it's basically Monday. Shinji Mikami about realizing he's in the later stages. I heard it was 2007 because the cake is a lie, Cado.
God damn it.
Let's go.
Jesus
Anyway, read Patrick's interview with Shinji Mikami. It's good. We've also been streaming a whole bunch thanks to Waypoint Plus, thanks to the folks who've signed up at waypointplus.com. We have been streaming. Well, Patrick and Cado are working their way through Kingsfield, which appears to be the grayest game ever made.
Yep.
Greatest. Great.
Yes, that's what I said.
That's fun.
I didn't open up your stream and wonder if my monitor is broken. I was like, I didn't know this came out for Game Boy.
Fuck.
And earlier this week, I streamed Crusader Kings 3, as I said, with Gita and Emily. As for our Waypoint Plus listeners, we just published a Waypoint After Dark, where we had our first After Dark with Ren. So check that out. If that all sounds good, or if you just want more Waypoint, you can go to waypointplus.com and subscribe. Not only do you get access to our premium feed, but as I said, you're also helping support Waypoint and everything else we do here. And you're putting me in nice bath mats. Our theme music is... You're not. I have to do so much fraud before there's a direct connection between those things.
Also, if you're listening to this, it might be too late, but if it might not be too late to go to our Twitch channel and vote on our next Waypoint 101s. That's happening today, the day this podcast came out.
So they would have to, but kind
they
of
have to
even
download it immediately.
They have to listen to a 2-hour podcast.
Download it and then skip to the end.
No. Hold on.
They
sign-off?
would probably miss the beginning of the stream, but I would bet by this point we would maybe be closing in on the end of the presentations and starting.
Well, if they don't give VMix to Ren by tomorrow, we might not have even started by the time.
Oh my god!
By the time they get to the end of this,
give me my fucking juice, and by juice I mean video production suite.
It's true, but you know what? This is an opportunity for all those braggarts who are like, I listen to all my podcasts at 5x speed. With my super hearing, I just enjoy it that much more, and it saves me time.
1.2x, please. That's the sweet spot.
Anyway,
go to church.
Well, our theme music is by Bowen. The track is "Miss You" off the EP Pale Machine. Learn more at waypoint.zone/BOEN. For now, we're calling time on this week. We'll talk to you again next week. Until then, fuck capitalism. Go home.
Great.
He explains that with the new version of MoviePass, you can watch ads to earn credits that can go towards
there's
free
new
movies. Your phone
movie
camera will track your eyeballs to make sure you're actually watching.
What the
Quote,
fuck?
what it does, it basically creates a transaction between you and the brand.
Are you fucking...
Wait, they resurrected They resurrected MoviePass as Snoopware.
Yeah, there's a thing going on right
Also,
now.
wait. Do we all stop recording?
I'm still recording.
Fuck.
It's fine. It doesn't matter. It's
It's all
okay.
back up.
It's fine. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, sorry. They're doing what now? Sorry, I need to clarify.
MoviePass?
How long ago did that die?
Watching the MoviePass relaunch press event, quote, I love product placement in movies, says CEO Stacy Spikes, wearing a Steve Jobs / Elizabeth Holmes style turtleneck. I'm the person that has a notepad and I'm writing down, is that Hugo Boss? I'm that guy.
Oh, that guy. The guy we all know.
I know that guy. He's
Classic.
great.
In a list of guys, I'm always thinking about that one.
That's one of my favorites.
Awesome.
Very that's chappy voice.
That's Hugo.
Jesus Christ.
Boss.